My name's Sam from a company called Ming Foods.
You can talk to me.
Oh,
yes.
right.
That's fine.
Okay.
Yes. And you were saying that you worked with your coach Harry for about 3 to 4 years, is that right?
Yes, it's around that sort of time.
So cast your mind back to about 2008 when you were thinking about
Yes.
this. What was life in your business like at that time?
We were still very much relatively in the startup phase of the business, and we built up a manufacturing capability, and around that sort of time the economy was going a bit wobbly, and I went along to an event invited by Harry where Darren was speaking, and he was talking about what was going to be happening in the economy in future, and I thought, oh wow, instead of doing all the hard work myself and trying to forecast all these things and dig out all the data sources, here's a chap who's done all the hard work already. So I'll base some of the future growth and expansion plans around that forecast.
That must have made a difference to you, that knowledge, did it?
Absolutely, because you're trying to steer a ship in some very turbulent waters, and you are looking for reassurance, and that certainly provided it. And I'd already been in contact with Harry 18 months prior to that, so I'd met him already, and I felt, wow, now's about the right time where we get some more expertise, and just to help guide the business along, guide myself and other partners in the business to help grow it.
And when you're leading a business at wobbly times, as you
Yes.
put it, how does it feel?
At the best of times, it feels very lonely, and in wobbly times, it feels even worse. And part of it, it's the responsibility you're actually feeling that if you make the wrong choice, then the people in the business that you actually employ, they're going to be out of a job, and it'll have wider impacts onto their family as well. So you do feel the weight of responsibility on your shoulders. So yes.
So what sort of difference does that make then, knowing there's somebody walking alongside you?
The relief, the pressure relief that actually gives, it's tremendous. And you can actually go off and do your job even better, knowing that you've got support in the background, and you've got somebody to actually bounce ideas off, bounce stresses off. And sometimes you think some very outlandish ones, which may or may not be good ideas, and you're able to bounce it off somebody who can actually view the business from the outside, and they'll give a bit of a steer on, oh yeah, that's great, oh no, that's completely dodgy. You might have to think a little bit deeper and see where that actually leads you.
And with those bouncing off of ideas, what particular insights have you gained from working with Harry?
Part of it is really understanding what we do as a business, and when we started off, I thought, well, we're a food manufacturer, we make Chinese pancakes and stuff like that. And then when I was describing the kind of things I got up to, going around the world, exploring new markets, doing lots of research and development, how to make the product better, ingredients technology, process technology, this, that and the other, he described it back to me, and he said, well, actually you are meeting people, you're forming relationships, you've got this wide distribution model, so you're not really just a manufacturer, you're somewhat beyond that. And then at that moment, the penny sort of clicked and go, ah, right, yeah, you're right, I actually do that. And so having somebody else relate that back to you, it gives you more confidence in what you're setting out to do.
Do you remember that moment when the penny dropped?
Absolutely, absolutely. And we were in a coaching session, and we're having a conversation very much like we're having now. And just when Harry just described that moment, I just sat there. And usually my brain hurts when I talk to Harry after a few minutes, and I just sat there, got this glazed look, and somewhat stunned. I go, yeah, you're right. And quite often the case, I hate you, how you're always right.
So a few words led to a huge insight. Can you give me an idea of what impact that insight has had on your business as a result?
It's really, part of it's following the energy of where you're doing stuff, and when you're doing stuff you feel passionate about it and you get enthused, and you're travelling that wave, and when you follow the energy it leads you to some very interesting places where you wouldn't have gone to before, and you meet some really cool people, and it inspires you to look at your own business and you think, actually, you can do more things with this current business than you're currently doing now, and whether that you're doing internally or you're collaborating with other people, other businesses, to get things done in a better way. So yeah, following that, it's led to some very interesting avenues indeed.
Yes, can you give me an example of that?
Can I just,
Yes.
might just take that. Can you just ask that question again? We
Yes,
have
of course.
that, just
Yeah,
the-
okay.
Is it the
Is it
crackling
wrestling?
of the
Oh,
books?
sorry,
I think-
it's
I
wrestling.
think he's been into
Hi.
it, so he's kind of like...
Are you done? Right. Very good.
We just asked that question.
Yes, of
Such a good
course.
answer as well.
Yes, it was
Yes.
the insights, wasn't it? Yes, okay, now I've lost my...
Yes.
So, obviously you had that moment of
Yes.
insight, a few words.
Yes.
What impact has that
Well,
had on your business?
For instance, when we were looking to launch another product, then instead of trying to do it internally ourselves, I thought, what else is out there that can actually support us in doing that? And in this instance, we were launching a spring roll pastry, and from out in the ether, I came across a program with the Design Council. And I thought, Design Council, it sounds a bit woolly, but they've got an interesting program there. And I thought, I'll follow where this is actually taking me. And I basically signed up onto one of their programs for using design as a strategic tool. And we used it in launching this particular product. And by going into that program, it's opened other doors into meeting other firms who have collaborated with the Design Council. And it's created further linkages. So I'm still following that path and see where it actually leads to eventually. So it's an interesting journey.
Because originally you said, I saw myself as a food manufacturer.
Yes.
So how do you see yourself now in your business?
Very much with other capabilities. So everything from the research development side of things, where we're looking at ingredients technology and process technology and how to actually educate that to our own staff and to our customers and our suppliers as well, to other parts of the business where we're solving problems for our customers. And you think, well, that's where we can actually add further value. And what are the current trends that's springing up? Can we actually follow that wave and allow it to take our business to another level?
So you're not just a manufacturer,
Yes.
You're a distributor, producer.
We innovate, we do R&D, we have relationships out in the field, we solve problems, we I suppose work with current technology and really push it to the extreme and see what it's actually capable of. And I suppose it's somewhat inherent in what we do, in that we're like a baker, but at the very extreme end of baking.
How do you view your business in the future? Because you told me you've just got your factory open.
Yes.
So what does that factory represent? Tell
So
me about it.
it's, for us as a business, just in terms of space-wise, then it's about 7 times the size of the old factory. So the capacity you have there is a lot more. And in the current economic framework, we've built that capacity, and it's in the right place for the growth curve that's coming, and we can actually take advantage of that growth curve. As we grow into that factory, the business will be undergoing a tremendous amount of change, and the people within the business will be experiencing that. And part of my job is to make sure that I coach my own people that the change is okay, it's happening, we'll just go along with it, and it'll lead us to a better place. And as a food manufacturer, then you're going to be up there amongst the best in the world at what you do. And then from that particular business, you're going to do other really cool stuff, which is going to be top level as well.
You've got this new factory, you've got to fill it,
Yes.
you've still got to pay your bills.
Yes.
How does it feel at the moment?
Hard work is one way to describe it, and one can feel the risk involved, and you see the numbers and you see the stresses and strains in the business. You can feel how hard your people are actually working, and you know that if you actually make the wrong move, or you don't have the right support structure in place, then it can all topple over, and that would be a bit messy. But having made the journey so far, then the support network that we have in place and the relationships that we have with our suppliers, with our customer base, it supports what we're doing. So even though it feels very hard, you have some reassurance there that it'll be worthwhile and you can actually get through this particular juncture.
Because you talked about the wobbly in
Yes.
2008,
Yes.
and this is a different sort of wobbly.
It's a different sort of
But
wobbly.
so how is Shirlaws helping you with that different sort of positive wobbly?
It's really examining the business and helping to break it down into its component parts. And you think, there's an asset there that you can actually spin off, work with somebody else to create a new business that will support your own current business. So really understanding the fundamentals of what you're doing. And the other part of it is in my own journey in business, it's supporting myself and helping me to look at business in a very different way, and helping me with my own confidence in, I can go off and do something else which I'm really good at, and I can bring the right people at the right time to make that a success. So the vision has broadened, and that's one of the fundamental things that Shirlaws actually enables one to actually do, is broaden your horizon, broaden your vision, so you can actually create a lot more value than you initially think you can.
It's broadening your vision without feeling too wobbly about it.
Absolutely, yes, indeed.
Because you did paint a picture of the last time you felt wobbly, of being there on a Friday night. Do you remember?
Yes, indeed. Yes, you're sitting in the office alone on a Friday night. Everybody's gone home. You've got the weight of the world on your shoulders. It's an absolutely lonely place to be. And having somebody like Shirlaws in the background just going, hey, it's all right. People have been there. There is support there, and you just reach out and be open to these sort of things. Then it's not quite such a lonely place anymore. You still have to make those tough decisions, but with a much better level of reassurance from that.
You mentioned earlier that Harry's always right,
Yes.
but I just wonder, what's it like going through a session with him? What does it feel like, having a coaching session with him?
You would start off very much having a conversation, and then his mind will be busy just picking out the themes from that conversation, and then he'll ask you a question, just turn it around slightly, and it stops you in your tracks, and you go, okay, I haven't really thought about it that way. Let me just try and think around that, and then he'll let you spiel on for a bit further, and then he'll ask another question, and that'll stop you in your track as well. So after a few rounds of this, then your mind is reeling, and it really does hurt, and you're thinking very hard on the business, and so it's tough work, but it's in the sense that you do feel good about it afterwards. So you feel in a better shape, having exercised your brain on your business, and seeing in a different light, and it leaves you in a better framework to solve problems.
Very quickly, because you had your son Warren there a
Yes,
moment
indeed.
ago. I just wonder what those closest to you would say, describe your journey as being in the last few years. Would they have noticed a difference?
I would imagine they would have seen a difference, and everything from how I view life, how I view business, then it's very much more, I'm less at the coalface working in the business and having it right up to my nose, to be able to actually just working on the business, and to be able to step back and look at it and how it actually fits within the industry and the wider world, and to be able to pull in the right strategic connections to help the business grow further.